Hello, everybody, and welcome to ConserVATISH episode 192. My name is Peter Feliciano, as always. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening. Make sure you like, share, leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you would like. And make sure you share this with your less offendable friends. You can find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano and my backup account at ConserVATISH. You can find me on Twitter and TikTok. And also, if you want to support my music and podcast, patreon.com/ConservativeMixedGirl. Ladies and gentlemen, we are blessed to have Callie Fontanilla here on the show today. Thank you so much.
Happy to be here.
A conservative mixed girl.
Yep, that's who I am. At least on Instagram. They hate it. They hate the name conservative. They hate the name mixed. All of it has basically.
Right. Where can people find you besides on Instagram?
I'm also on Facebook, Callie Fontanilla, my regular name. So it's there on Facebook. And then Yeah. I go by both. I'm so used to having it mispronounced, but yeah, Callie Fontanilla. And then YouTube, I'm ConservativeMixedGirl.
Awesome. So I wanted to have you on for a number of reasons. First things first, let's get this out of the way.
Sure.
I'm for Salinas.
Yeah.
I'm 19 years sober.
Okay.
The last like nine months of my drinking I spent in Salinas, California.
That must have been crazy.
It was a little nuts. It was a little crazy. I went to Everett Alvarez High School.
No way.
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
where my husband went.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
It was, I don't remember much about it, except that here's what I remember from Salinas in 2001, 2002. There wasn't much there except for cabbage and norteños. That's
so
what
wait. Did you graduate class? What was your graduating class?
I didn't graduate.
Oh, okay, because my husband was class of 2000.
Wow.
Yeah, so you guys are probably around there at the same time. So
yeah, he probably didn't recognize me because I think I got in there at 2001. But I would have been I would have been the weird kid, not showering and bringing. I
was a weird kid in high scholl too. My husband and I were totally opposite. Like I was definitely weird in high school, and he was like Mr. Popular. So.
What was weird about you?
I was really, actually, I really respect my high school self when I look back at it. I was just like a little rebel. I was really into like punk rock and like ska music and just, yeah, exactly. I still am. But yeah, I was definitely not like a cool kid, that's for sure. And I was also really heavy. I was 200 pounds. So
same. Yeah.
We could have been friends for sure.
I know, right? As long as you were fine with sneaking alcohol into campus on a water bottle. That's what I did.
Oh, yeah. Just all kinds of rebellious stuff. Yeah. And I'm actually sober myself. I loved alcohol for many, many years. And I'm 11 years sober. So,
wow, good for you.
Yeah. It was like my best friend for a while, but it's like the meanest, awfulest, backstabbing best friend on the planet. So
yeah, it really is. And it made me less, I was already quite antisocial, but it made me less social. But I would hang out in Salinas. I would hang out by La Marqueta over by Baranda. And I would, panhandle and do evil things.
Have you been recently? When's the last time you've been to Salinas? It's overrun by homeless, like everywhere. And it's not just regular homeless, it's drug addicted homeless. And even from when I was living there, the 5 years I was living there while teaching, I'm out of there now, but it just goes getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, tent cities in Salinas right now. So,
well, yeah, no, I mean that was my friend circle, if you will, before I got sober. Yeah. I would hang out over by Baranda on the 101 exit, and we had a little camp over there. We would go down by over by the rodeo stadium, and there was like a Taco Bell and a McDonald's and a Burger King, like all in a row. Yeah. And panhandle and stuff. Yeah, it was not it was good times, but it was not good times.
Yeah.
And no, I haven't been there in a long time. I moved to New York about a year and a half ago.
Oh, okay.
And you moved to Florida pretty recently, right?
Yeah, about 6 months ago. I actually finished my school year because I'm a teacher in Salinas. I finished my school year online. So I was working at so I was at La Paz Middle School. I was a middle school teacher for 3 years. And then I transferred to the high school. There's a brand new high school there. And they shut down the whole year. So I was like, we were debating whether or not to move during the summer or move earlier, but I was just getting so sick of it. And I was just ready to just go. And we also got these apartment complexes that had 2 months free rent in Florida. And so we just took a risk. And so I kept teaching online. Plus, if they were to make us, when they did make us come back, they were going to make us do all this crazy stuff. So I didn't even want to go back anyways, because it's crazy right now. Like, it is not free. It's not a good place to be as a teacher. It's definitely not what it was like before pandemic.
Are you in person in Florida yet or no?
Yeah, I got a job out here. I mean, Florida's been open this whole year. So it's crazy that half our country had the schools shut down the whole year and half our country had the schools open the whole year. Right. And so the job I got out here is definitely in person. Although I'm like, oh man, after this year and a half, I don't want to go back to work at all. It's crazy right now. I just don't know what to expect. Like they're just, you don't know. I can't trust right now what's going on in our country. I just don't know what to expect.
What are the main reasons? Let's back up a little bit. You are obviously mixed. What's your mix?
Jamaican and white.
Jamaican and white.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm Jamaican. Yeah.
Puerto Rican, German, English. Black.
Oh, nice. My husband's Puerto Rican, Mexican, Irish.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, he gets it. Yeah, he gets it.
We're mixed.
We're growing up because I've asked this to a lot of mixed people before.
Yeah.
And there does seem to be. I mean, hopefully it's gotten better. But were you two Jamaican for the whites and two whites for the Jamaicans?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's kind of like mixed. We all have. You know what? I've been around high schoolers and middle schoolers and kids. They all bully each other for everything. Like, you know, you can't win if you have straight hair. You can't win if you have curly hair. You can't win if you're too skinny. You can't win if you're too fat. You can't win if you're too dark, too light. Like, it's just what happens in the schools, you know? And like, I think a lot of people will say, oh, I experienced this racism and that racism in school growing up as a kid. I'm like, no, every kid experienced something in schools. Kids are they're stupid. Like, and you put them all in a room together, and you don't have a good teacher that knows how to control them, although I am a good teacher that knows how to do that. But if you don't have that, like, and which most of them aren't, they're going to be mean to each other. So I definitely got it, but it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I still get it now, mainly from the left. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll have someone tell me on the left that I can't speak for Black America because I'm not Black enough. And then I'll have someone on the left tell me, you know, you're Black, right? You think you're white. And it's like, come on, dude. Like, you can't win. Like,
right. Yeah. They're horrible people.
Yeah, they are.
There's so many threads. I like this. I like having a conversation like this because it's organic. You don't know what's going to happen next. But I'm trying to set up a couple of things, I think, just your background.
We have the CRT stuff because I am a teacher.
Right.
And okay, Salinas has really great kids. It's mainly minority kids. Mm-hmm. It's mainly Mexican kids. I taught the English learners, and I also taught the low readers. Mainly all boys, because there is a tragedy going on in our country with boys. Like they're actually going the college entrance rate right now amongst boys versus girls. 60% girls, 40% boys, and it's really sad actually. So, and also our boys are reading at lower reading levels. So I was the one that would catch them up. Like in 9th grade, they'd come to me and I would catch them up like 4 or 5 grade levels in 1 year. And these kids do not need to be told that they have all their cards stacked against them in 9th grade. Like, you know, they need to be, and that's what CRT is. I mean, it's basically, okay, so the left denies that they're CRT in the schools right now, which has been around for a while, especially in schools that are controlled by the left. And that's basically this narrative of telling kids that they are either an oppressor, a part of an oppressor class, or they're part of an oppressed class. That's the basics of it. And also that every institution in America was created by the oppressed class to oppress. That's it. That's CRT in a nutshell, and it's been happening in our schools for a while. People are just finally waking up to it.
When did you start teaching?
I've been teaching on and off for 15 years.
How soon did you start seeing this CRT?
It's been around. It's been for one, there was like this whole like we need to teach real history movement that happened this last like 15 years or so. And they started really bagging on white people for a while there. I remember when I was in elementary school, it wasn't like bagging on white people history class, right. Which I'm not saying white people are perfect. Like we all have our stains in history. You know, every culture has stains in history. I mean, even right now in Africa, there are things happening that would never happen in this country, you know? And so those are Africans, you know, like those are people that have black skin that are hurting others that have black skin. So, But then there was this whole like shift that happened, I would say the last 15 years, where they started portraying, it started with Native Americans and colonization, right? And they started portraying Native Americans as like peace pipe pansies. Like they did not do anything. They were just these peaceful people. They were just living their lives, living off the land. And all of a sudden white people came in and just, you know, stomped them down to the ground. And yes, there's definitely some disgusting acts that happen in our history, but it happened on both sides. Just one happened to have the diseases for one, you know, that brought out that, you know, took out a lot of Native Americans, which was sad. But that happens right now. I mean, we even have diseases coming in. That's a reason why they shut down the borders during COVID, you know, like, so, I mean, it's just going to happen when you have people, you know, immigrating to countries. And then they act like the Native Americans weren't doing anything toward, they erased any negative history, like the fact that Native Americans owned, like the Cherokee owned 2,500 slaves.
Yeah.
And they didn't even free them during the 13th Amendment. We had to fight for that later on, you know? So what happened is they started, instead of whitewashing history, they started brownwashing history, you know, and kind of going the opposite direction. And they also started doing this thing where the people now, white people now, need to pay for the sins of the past. So that's new, because that wasn't around 20, 30 years ago, where white people now need to atone of their sins from the past. Like, you don't even know what your genealogy is. You don't even know if you were one of the Puritans that helped free the slaves, or not the Puritans, but the Quakers. Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why did they have to atone for it? Like,
right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then when it comes to being mixed, I mean, I always go back to that question. It's like, okay, well, how much reparations should I pay? 45%?
Oh,
well,
yeah, exactly.
And then you shrink it down, because on one side of my family only came from Germany, I think like 1890s. So it's like, okay, now that's even down now, like 20%. Like, are you gonna genealogy, you know? And they cloak it under, well, you're still living by the privilege. You're still getting benefits of looking non-brown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When in reality, right now in America, systematically on the books, there are more privileges for people with brown and black skin than there are people with white skin. You can I got a $40,000 scholarship for being black. You know what I'm saying? You can't get a $40,000 scholarship for being white. You know, I pulled that black card, especially when I was on the left 10, 15 years ago. I pulled that black card all the time. It was great. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you can't pull a white card right now without being canceled. You know, you can't even say anything negative like that sportscaster late girl that was just, you know, saying, oh, that girl got the job because of her skin color. There is a lack of diversity or something. And now she's canceled, you know? But if you say that on the other side, if you're like, oh, she got that job because she's white, you're like, they, you know, praise you, right? So
when you started teaching, were you left then? Were you liberal then?
Oh yeah, I started teaching when I was 22. I was still a big leftist Democrat. Very, very idealistic. I think if I was still on the left right now, I'd be a Bernie fan, which is scary to think about, because I probably would have been a really good Bernie fan. But,
just like Cubans.
Yeah,
exactly. Love Bernie.
Yeah.
So how soon into the game did you start?
It was Obama second term. So I did not vote for him a second term. And it was funny because I was really like passionate about the left and the policies that they had. And I saw that Obama just continued Bush's stuff. And that's when I started waking up. And then the press just praised him. Like, he continued the Patriot Act. He turned it into something even more strict with the National Defense Act or whatever. He continued, you know, as a teacher, I was really against No Child Left Behind, which actually was leaving kids behind and turning our schools into testing institutions, right? And Obama made it even worse. He extended it and made it even worse. And then all the stuff, the wars with Obama cut food stamps like crazy. And that was something I was really passionate about. Like, you know, we feed our poor. And I still think that food stamps is a good program for, you know, our country is, we don't have starving people. We just don't, you know, and that's beautiful. And he cut food stamps more so than any other president we had for the past like 15 years, in my lifetime at least. So I remember hearing all my leftist friends still being like, Obama, and loving him and fanboying and fangirling. And I was like, dude, you guys realize he's just doing the same stuff Bush did times 10. Like, you know, he was doing drones. He was deporting people like crazy. And I was just paying attention to this because I was really, you know, passionate about my beliefs on the left. And I just noticed that was hoodwinked, you know, I was played. And so that's when I got over it. I got done with politics. And for 4 years, I didn't vote at all. And I still am kind of over politics. I just want people to wake up to the left and how they're being deceived and quit voting for stuff that's going to hurt us.
Right.
I'd rather have like just less government in general. That's kind of
What a racist you are.
I know.
That's the thing I always say. Like, I was thinking about it. If you listening right now think that right wing and left wing mean the same thing that it did 8 years ago, you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. Everybody I know, and I follow, not everybody, most of the people I follow and I'm friends with who are conservative or what I like to call non-liberal.
Yeah.
Anybody I know non-liberal voted for Obama.
Yeah.
Almost all of them. Almost fucking all of them. And even the majority of them did not vote for Trump in 2016.
Yeah.
They voted for him in 2020.
You know what? I didn't like him in 2016. I voted for him literally to spite Hillary. I remember I re-registered because I hadn't voted in 4 years, and I did not like Hillary so much that I wanted to give her one less vote because she is a scary, scary, scary lady. And I was like, no matter what, our country is in better hands than with her because she's.
But you're a woman. You're a woman. You're supposed to. I mean, she's an ally.
I know. Identity politics is so bad on the left too, and that's just something where I don't know. I feel like you just kind of have to have. They're just basic. That's the best way to put it. They just go with the flow, and I think that rebels like you and I are never going to be that. So.
I will put a caveat there. I think we were. I think we were that. I think we were that. Or I'll speak for myself. When I was a leftist,
I thought I was a left rebel. I thought I was.
I thought I was raging against the machine.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
Like, it's just that raging against the machine is no longer valid because the sides have switched. The machine is absolutely liberals. They own universities, they own Hollywood, they own the medical community, they own everything. So the machine is liberals. But when I was, and that's part of the thing is that I think the way to reach the people in the middle is not necessarily to smack them, sometimes to smack them, sometimes to shock them, but sometimes it's to at least shock them with an understanding of a nice pillow afterwards. You know, like, I'm gonna smack you, and then okay, all right, I know you're not evil, you're not stupid. And a lot of people on the non-liberal side are way too ham-handed with this. You hate America. You love pedophiles. Like, no. They mean well. The majority of leftists, the majority of the people who voted for Biden mean well. They just don't fucking know.
I don't know. I think part of it, I think those people are leaving.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and I think what's left now is getting worse. I mean, I do think there's still some left, but I think a lot of them have left, you know, or at least they're just done with politics. You know, because in my experience, even people in your family and friends that you've had for many years now, because of what the media has done with people on the right, the way they've portrayed anyone who's on the right, they now think we are enemies, you know? And so they think they're doing a service by treating us badly, you know, by saying we're white supremacists or saying we're, you know, democracy or saying, you know, and so they've been fed or saying we're in part of a cult, you know, and that's not just the random, that's not just, I mean, at least in my experience, it's not just the exception. I think it's the rule now amongst the left to speak about people on the right like that now. And it wasn't like that 5 years ago. People weren't mean like that about people on the right until Trump.
I'll agree with you a lot on that.
Yeah,
because you lived in California, and
that's true. Out here in Florida, totally different. I don't.
Oh yeah,
it's
liberals in Kansas. I know there's like two of them.
Yeah,
liberals in Kansas don't have that same. You know, when I would tell people the name of my show, ConservativeMixedGirl in California, people would like clutch their pearls a little bit. They'd be like, okay, but what? I mean, it has conservata in the name.
Yeah, exactly.
I would tell even black people in New York, they'd be like, continue what you're saying, because there's not a la 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 only good, you know, only Democrat. There's not that vibe outside.
And I would say in general, people in California are pretty mean. I've learned now that I've moved away because I lived there pretty much my whole life on and off. People in California are pretty mean, and I think left and right, that's kind of where it is there. I don't know what it is about that place, but there's just I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah.
Except for, because I'm trying to I mean, as much as I hate identity politics, I like using it. I like using it against identity politics. And La Raza de Salinas, you know what I mean? Like the Mexican, the people who are not plugged in, the majority of first generation, you know.
Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, I love teaching. Okay. I love Salinas kids. And actually, they're over this stuff. Well, okay. So they have ethnic studies class, which was basically required to graduate, which just happened this year. They're supposed to take it in 9th grade. And this is where they got the CRT stuff. And I got access to all the lessons because me and the teacher that teaches ethnic studies, we use the same platform. And she put all her lessons on there as public. I mean, it's bad. But guess what? I would say half of my students failed that class. They were over it. And I was like, why are you guys all failing ethnic studies? And this was before I actually looked at all the lessons. They were like, Miss Fontanilla, that class is so dumb. That's how they're like, that class is stupid. Like, why do we have to take this dumb class? I was like, why do they think this class is so dumb? And I finally looked at it and it was just, I mean, it's bad. I mean, to give you an example of the lesson on day 5, they have them all take a privilege quiz. So they had all the kids take a privilege quiz and then they put them on a number line. Who's the most privileged and who's the least privileged, and have them reflect on it. Yeah. You know, and it was totally loaded questions like, does your family come from, does it not speak English as a first language? Which personally, I think that's an advantage in America right now because these kids are coming out bilingual, you know, but in the privilege quiz, it's a knock against them, you know? And so, I mean, it was just like day 5, you're already separating the kids, you know, how's the kid going to feel it's on the bottom? And how's the kid that's going to feel on top? And they never asked, do you come from a single parent home in the quiz? Because that's probably one of the hardest things you could deal with. But it's all this leftist talking point stuff, you know? And so they start with that. And then they go into, they have a whole lesson on white privilege, which is CRT to the T. And I can always say this wrong, but hegemony, which means it's something that we shouldn't even know about until we're in college. And if then it's because you have a, you know, ethnic studies degree or something, right? But they're teaching it to 9th graders. And basically it means that there is an oppressive ruling class, which is white male Christian, and they identify it in the students' lessons. And the oppressive ruling class set up society to benefit them and to oppress everybody else. So that means that every institution set up in society was set up to benefit the white male Christian, and everybody else is oppressed. And this is what our students are learning. They learn this concept. There's like a whole unit on it. And so they get this mindset that the school they're sitting in, the college they're going to, everything in America is basically set up against them because like I said, it's mainly Mexican kids that we're teaching. And so that kind of mindset is just so toxic. I mean, when you tell a young person that the whole world is set up against them, right? That everywhere they go, they're going to have these difficulties to face because of the color of their skin. Instead of telling them, hey, you know what? You can do anything despite maybe things that you've had happening to you in your life. Because I think probably the worst thing that can happen to a child is not being born brown or Mexican or white or whatever. It's being molested or being, and that happens to all skin colors, or being, abused as a child. And but the thing is, they're having these kids focus on the color of their skin rather than really addressing what does hold someone back, which is not having a good support system and not having a good family unit, and not being protected as a child. And it's just so bizarre and weird and wrong. And they just need to get it out because right now in Salinas, there's a really low literacy rate. I mean, I dealt with these boys that were reading at a first grade level coming into me in 9th grade. And they're spending all this time on this dumb ethnic studies class when they should be spending an extra class period with me catching up on reading,
What do you think was the main reason that there was such a low literacy rate
in Salinas? I think it has to do with failed education for one. I mean, the teachers right now, they do not. I firmly believe that teachers are more interested, especially teachers on the left, turning these kids into activists than making sure that they know how to read and write. Because I would say in my county, it's 80% left. They voted 80% left. And I would say amongst teachers, it's 90 to 95%. And so they are more interested in turning these kids. I mean, you should go into these classrooms. It's like you walk into these classrooms and it's just like Obama posters, Trump is a clown poster, Women's March poster. Yeah, I mean,
wait. Trump is a clown poster in school?
Yep. Bernie Sanders stickers on their laptops. Like they are, and they truly believe, I'm in these staff meetings and they truly believe that it is their duty to undo undo what horrible America has stamped on these kids and turn them into these little activists. I mean, in the ethnic studies class, they have a whole Black Lives Matter lesson, and it goes into Patrisse Cullors, the founder of Black Lives Matter, portrays her in a positive way, of course. And then in the end, they're asked, what are you going to do to help the Black Lives Matter movement? Not even giving a kid a chance to disagree with it, like, and then, I mean, it's just bad. There was another lesson where they have 2 white girls in a graduation cap, and they're like graduating. And on top of it said the word privilege. And below it said, some people are born on third base and think they hit a triple. So basically it's implying that if you're white and you graduate, it's not because of your hard work. It's because you're white. You were born on third base and you thought you actually hit a triple, but you were actually born on third base. And this kind of stuff. And we do have a few white kids in our district. And to be honest, the white kids are probably the most picked on in Salinas right now. Like, I had a boy in my class that, he was kind of like a little punk rock kid, a little off, kind of smelly, like not just off, right? And I used to let him wear his hood in class because he was always bullied. And I just knew that he needed to have his hood on, just to feel safe, just to feel like he's not going to get picked on because, he's this kind of punk rock white kid in Salinas where that's not cool,
Did you ever teach in a school that was white predominantly?
I did. My beginning, I taught in Santa Cruz.
Oh yeah.
My career. Yeah, and those kids were way harder, way worse. Sorry, I had to say that, but and I think it was more to do with the fact that the Santa Cruz people are really annoying, not necessarily white kids, but it was. It was things like, okay, when you call home in Salinas, you call home for Salinas, and you get like the parents like mad. They're like, put him on the phone, and they're like, you need to be doing your homework, right? You call home in Santa Cruz, and you're like, your kid's not doing this homework. Well, he has this disability, and you're giving homework that's way too hard, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like if my homework is so easy, your son is totally capable of doing it. Again, it's a boy usually. Your son's totally capable of doing it. I've seen the work he does in class. He can definitely do this homework. Well, we actually don't believe in homework. And, like you get stuff like that. And
I also think part of that is just, as much as Santa Cruz gets a rep for being hippies, because let's just establish, I personally am not speaking for Conservative Mixed Girl, hate Santa Cruz. You're horrible people. I think part of the thing is also, as much as they get like dirty hippies can be rich. No.
It's definitely Santa Cruz used to be awesome in the 80s. I was born and raised there, and it's definitely not. It's so expensive, so you can't even survive there unless you are a rich hippie, and very privileged, very, very privileged, and very racist, I would say. They're some of the most racist people just the way that they expect you. Here's what happens is when you're around a group of people that are on the left and you are not on the left, like they will, like, if you don't tap dance for them and do the leftist thing, then they'll reject you, and it's like, it's really hard. And I just got sick of it, especially the last 5 years with everything that's going on. I had to be silent all the time and censor myself all the time, which was really hard for me. And this last year with everything that's been happening and going on, I can't do that anymore. That's why I had to quit, because I knew that they would go after my job,
I had a teacher on a couple weeks ago, Nico. He's been on a couple of times. He's half Filipino and half Black. And, his dad grew up at Hunters Point in San Francisco. Like, his mother was a first generation. Like, he didn't and he grew up in the Bay.
Yeah.
And so he didn't live privileged, but he became a teacher and he studied, and now he just finished his first year.
Yeah.
It's a weird year to start,
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah.
One of the things he talks about is how when he went to school in Wisconsin, and they taught him all that stuff and all that leftist stuff, and he's like, yeah, this is a predominantly white college, it's from Wisconsin. and he said, I'm getting out of here. I'm going back to the Bay, and I'm going to a school that's, he walks into San Jose State, and they've got a big black fist there, and he's like, yes, I'm around my people. And then slowly but surely, the politics turned him. The politics, the shoehorning of identity politics, the shoehorning of the left, the shoehorning of all this stuff turned him into somebody who's like, yeah. And one of the things he talked about was the weakness. It's not that these teachers really, a lot of them really do believe this stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the things, and I want to see if if this matches your experience.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of teachers are what he calls good students. And good students are not necessarily the critically thinking ones.
Oh, true.
Good students are the ones who say the right thing, who check the right boxes, right? And so he would be on this Zoom call about, privilege or about art that turns into about slavery. And he would be the only guy in the majority. There was like one other Asian. He's the only person of color. The rest of them are all white liberals. He would be the only teacher going like, I don't really agree with this. No, I don't think, blah, blah, blah. And then when they'd circle off into their satellite groups, everyone would agree with him. But then when they'd go back into the main one, everyone would say the right things and nod the right way and be like, believe and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Does that match your experience as well?
Absolutely, especially because I'm an English teacher, English credential, and English teachers are probably the worst. Like, they're the ones that are an English major, and they have they're the gramophobes, and they're the super controlling type, and they're very, very, usually very liberal. And it's very true. Because I used to always tell my students, I was not an English major. The only reason why I'm an English teacher is that I knew I could pass the test to get to be here with you guys, because you can either come in with having an English major, or you can come in by taking these several tests and I've always been a pretty decent writer, but I just never really was obsessed with it like these English teachers. And so, yes, absolutely. You hit the nail. I've never even thought of it that way. And that's just so true. They are not the critical thinkers. They're the star students. Right. And the star students just spit back what they want you to hear. And so it happens all the time. Like in our staff meetings, we had a whole thing about Black Lives Matter, and all these teachers are like, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. And just all this stuff, and they're all cheering for each other. And it's very much like I said, it's they say what people want to hear and be praised. And so someone like me that comes in and says, can we keep politics out of the staff meeting? They'll snap back and be like, everything is about politics, we had that happen to me. Yeah, I was like, yeah, exactly. I was like, because they were celebrating Biden's win or something like that, and I was just like, can we keep politics out of the staff meeting? And this is because we had staff meetings online this last year, thank God, because I don't think I could handle it in person. Right. And I had another leftist English teacher snap back and say everything is about politics, So it's like my voice, because I didn't go along with them and sing their little tune, I get snapped at instead of praised, which obviously we should be praised for that. Like, here, let's not talk about politics. Let's focus on our students,
Right. No, that's what I always say about California. I've never, and obviously I'm also in New York now, which is another Democrat or whatever. Yeah. But I've never had anyone assume at a Starbucks or in an Uber that I'm a Trump supporter. I've never had anybody assume that. But the shoehorn politics in there, isn't Trump fucking crazy? Isn't this, Black lives, they assume that I'm one of them.
Oh, yeah.
It's the intellectual elitism. It's English settler bullshit. It's absolutely a little bit. It's intellectual coastal elitism that says everybody's like me. Yeah. And of course, if we're at the same Starbucks, Trump supporters don't even know what a Starbucks is.
Yeah,
they make coffee in their, in their moonshine. Like they're so myopic. They don't know anybody who disagrees with.
And what do you think about when you tell them and you see that there's like a look on their face? It's like this, their minds explode. I usually say, not every Black person or person of color you meet is on the left, and they're like, I cannot compute.
No, that's part of it. I pick and choose. If I'm in a Starbucks, I'll just because I it's not worth my time to do.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I was going to the beach last week with a couple of friends, and me and another guy in the car. I know that he's on the slide because he's a skinny white kid. Like he doesn't. Yeah. A lot of these white people feel like I don't agree with this either, but I can't say anything.
Oh, I know. They're this. Exactly.
And so this skinny white kid reached out to me because he's like, oh, I Googled you, and oh my God, you're, he's like,
that happened to me too. Yeah.
Right. I'm like, Google me. I don't give a fuck. So we were in this car with 3 other people, and the 3 other people, no one brings up politics, whatever. We go to this beach in, where was we? Long Island. Mm-hmm. Long Island can definitely be some blue collar ass, like workers, like some.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we went by this sign. We went by this bunch of flags. It didn't say Trump. It didn't say Trump 2024. It literally said, everyone cover your ears, I'm going to cuss. It said, fuck Biden. It said, fuck Biden. Just a bunch of flags all the way. And this guy leans in and he's like, not my friend, or I mean, they're all my friends, not the skinny white. He like leans in like, hey, just to let you know, there are a lot of conservatives in this area, almost like, hey,
concern.
And I'm like waiting like double Dutch, like, when should I say something? When should I say something?
Yeah.
And so I can feel it ramp up to, isn't Trump the word? And I just went, yeah, I actually really like it. And then that gave my skinny white friend the door open to go like, yeah, I didn't mind it either.
Yeah, that's how it is with teachers. Like, I mean, I would say like when you have to like, I went to a conference one time with another teacher, and I always like pray, like, God, please give me, because you have to room with them, right? I'm like, give me someone. I just can't do, just give me someone I can connect with. You have to stay in a room with someone for 3 days. It's got to be someone you're going to, Right. And I went with this one teacher, and we were like talking in circles, like kind of like barely touching a little bit of the right stuff, just like touching like, and then pretty soon I just said to her, I'm like, did you vote for Trump? And she's like, yes. I'm like, I did too. Oh my God. Like, like, whew, because it's like, you can't come out like fully. Like I knew it would be an awkward weekend if, I was totally forward on my political views. Because it's just like because they have gotten such a demonized message of people on the right now, they just shut down, it's like, oh, wow. Oh, okay. And I've had that happen before. I mean, there was one time in a meeting where I actually was pretty forward about it because they were bashing Trump. And I was just like, I got sick of it. It was a smaller meeting. It was probably like 7 teachers. And I was just like, not everyone in this room hates Trump. I'm like, you guys need to stop doing this. Like, it just makes it so that some people can't speak up, and the room was just like silent. And like after that, I was like, okay, let's get back to, but then there's this awkwardness, and and they'll never be like those teachers that I said that to were never like chatty with me anymore, Right.
So you didn't start that. They started that.
Exactly.
It wasn't, we're going to go into this Zoom or into this meeting to talk about politics.
Yeah.
Selfish D-bags on the left started that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, imagine if I walked in like all pro-Trump, like they would shut me down in a second. I mean, I've had that before, like with family even, like we were doing like this weight loss challenge, and it was during the election time, and they were putting all these like bad Trump memes, right? And laughing at each other and da-da-da-da, and I was tolerating it, right? And then finally I did a Nancy Pelosi meme. I'm like, at least most people can say that Nancy Pelosi's pretty creepy. So it was tame, it wasn't a Kamala meme. It wasn't like, to diss Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she's so easy to, I thought it would be like, okay, that's kind of funny, like, no, it was like, there's no politics allowed in this. Stop, right? You guys put Trump in like a granny costume, whining, right. Like I'm not allowed to post a Nancy Pelosi. It's just like, it's really frustrating, and it's hard for me not to get bitter, and I'm really trying to work on that. But because, especially like my platform, I get a lot of hate. Family, I get a lot of hate. Some of my old friends, like my old friends that I've known since my whole life, when I came out in a MAGA hat on Instagram, because that's how I made the announcement, that because I kind of kept it hidden for a while. And then because I'm a teacher, I just knew that they would go after my job. And I decided, what? I would be the perfect martyr if they fired me for my political views, because I have done nothing but serve my students. And the best way is for me to have a big platform so I can have people rally behind me and say, hey, why did you guys fire this teacher for her views? So I was like, okay, I'm going to come out strong. Mm-hmm. And I had friends that were like, what the F, Collie? You're just trying to get attention. You're just trying to do a Candace Owens come up, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, dude, I've known you my whole life. Like, if I wanted attention, I would do cooking videos, or, like this is not about attention. This is
or thirst trap stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's just, and so it was it was, and this is my friend that was so mad at me about it, and I actually had to block her. She's trying to be a rapper in LA. Like, come on now. Like, you can't, don't say I'm trying to get like, this is the dumbest thing to get attention for. Like, honestly, there's way better things to platform for and have way more people that would love you. Like, this is me fighting for the kids in America right now. Cause that's my real goal. That's my real mission, not mission, my goal. I mean, cause I'll probably never make the goal, but I do have a mission. And that is to help our kids, because they're struggling right now. They're the most depressed generation we've ever had. They're the most confused. They're the most hopeless. Like, they are, we have more and more anxiety issues in our classes. In Salinas, all of our sites had to open up wellness centers because kids are struggling so much with anxiety they can't sit in the class. And you know what? All of this stuff is coming from the left. My students, like my boys, their favorite show is like Full House. They love the 90s. They want nostalgia. They want things to be normal. They do not want all of this crazy stuff. And this is Generation Z. Millennials, they're late. And I'm so glad I got through, because I actually started teaching. I started teaching when I'm like a tail end millennial, and I started teaching millennials. They were really hard to teach. This new Generation Z, they just want someone who, like, I've had such a great experience teaching this generation because they just love that I'm normal. I'm not trying to push some view on them. I keep my classroom super like tight. You know, I have good rules. We have a lot of fun. We do normal fun. I have on Fridays, like, we have a homeroom, and I'm like, no phones. We just play Monopoly, and I have Uno. I have this group of boys every day. Every Friday, they get out their Uno cards. They talk smack to each other and play their Uno, you know? Like, they just want normal, you know? They don't want this stuff. And I would get sent these lessons that were just like for our homeroom, that were just all this woke crap. And I'd be like, guys, I'm not even gonna do this. They're like, thank you. Like, I would start it, and I'd be like, this stuff is dumb. I'm gonna turn it off. Like, you know? So this new generation, like I said, but once the left really gets a hold on them, then you're setting them up for misery, because then they hate this country, you know?
Yeah, and because they come into it feeling like they don't have a purpose. You just gave them one.
Exactly. The
leftists just gave them an identity and a purpose. I'm oppressed.
Yes.
Or I'm the oppressor, and I'm going to work against the oppressor.
Yeah.
And now I have a purpose to tear it down.
Yeah.
Work against.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Totally. And you see that amongst millennials right now, because they really think that America is this horrible place. And like, I mean, I'll get these comments on my posts on Instagram where I'm just like, dude, like, how, and just the self-hate of, it's just so self-defeating. It's so, I mean, if you really care about minorities, why are you working to tear this country down? Why do you want it to be, you know, why do you want it to burn up? Like BLM says, I just want to burn this place up, like some of the leaders. If you really care about minorities, like, we live here, we make up 50% of the country, you know? I mean,
and listen, and another thing is too, because I know any liberal listening right now doesn't do their research.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're evil people.
Yeah.
Again, I'm trying real hard to reach the reasonable ones, because I know they're in there. Because you and I used to be in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they are.
And
it's seeds. You're planting seeds. You know, eventually they'll grow.
And I know that they don't. I know that they don't do research. So I'm going to help them out. We take in, I think it's 4 times more legal immigrants. Legal. Meaning people are coming from everywhere, from very reasonable countries, from Sweden or wherever. You know, it's not, nothing's burning down in Norway, but they're all coming here. They all come here. We are the beacon. Okay. Yeah. The reason why we're the leader of the free world is not because we're fucking white or any of that crap. We had Obama twice, dum-dum. Yeah. It's because we have it really good, and because we still are the ideological beacon, right? And the cultural beacon. So that's why we take in more. And the reality is if you did any research at all, guys, you would see that not only was it bad everywhere, not only did everywhere have slavery, but Brazil didn't get rid of slavery for like 20 years after we did.
And it actually is Western culture that ended slavery, like on a massive scale. I mean, it's still around, but on a massive scale, it was Western culture that ended it.
Right. And the people who currently do it are Africans and Muslims. Hello.
Exactly. That's a white supremacist talking point to say that.
Right. Let's talk about these. You good to go a few more minutes?
Oh, yeah, sure. Uh-huh.
All right. let's talk about this other fun talking point, because one of my favorite things about the things you post is all the hypocritical left.
Oh yeah.
Racist comments.
It's endless content. Except now I'm okay. So recently I did a post where I just listed all of the names I've been called this last year and a half. Okay. And then it was on one side, and I even blacked out like the N word. I put, little stars to black it out. I got reported for hate speech for that. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, the people that are saying these names to me, their accounts are still fine. My account gets reported for hate speech, sharing what these people say to me. And now my posts are more shadow banned, so I haven't had as much hate this last 2 weeks, because it happened about 2 weeks ago. So I'm like, I'm actually getting a little break, but when it's not, oh my goodness, it is bad. And what's scary about it is that, it doesn't bring me down like personally. Like I'm not like, I'm a very secure person. Like I'm almost 40 years old. Like I've got a great husband. But what makes me sad is that there's so many people like this. It's not like one person. It's not one troll coming on my post saying these things. I've probably blocked 300 people,
And the majority of them were white, right?
Oh yeah. And I would say majority of them are women, actually, which is really, or it's majority of them are white women or black men.
Really?
Yes, it's rare that I have. That's where I get like the really like house N-word ones, and like Trump's DICK ones, right. And then the ones where I hate myself, or I'm a white supremacist. That's usually the white liberal women. But like the Uncle Tom, that comes from black men, mainly black men. And then I also get it from, very rare I'll get a white liberal male, but they're usually pretty nasty when I do get them. But the majority is white liberal women.
Okay.
And so it's just so interesting, because it's like, that's like, aren't you guys supposed to be uplifting black women? Like,
I've talked about this a lot, and I'm positive it to you. I think I've only been called, and I'm a half Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
And I've only been called a Nazi from white liberal men.
Yeah.
It's the white ones. It's the white ones who put the gas in the tank. Not only did they set these little kids up with, and black and brown kids with, you're the oppressed, you can't make it. But then now they put the gas in the tank to really, who's in Portland right now? Have you ever been to Portland?
Yeah.
There are like 2 black people there.
Yeah, I know. I have been there. Yes, it's bad.
That's why they're so Antifa-ish. Because they're just, So but this is the thing I've experienced when Sari Kim came on my show. Anytime I've had a woman who speaks against the women, the leftist stuff, that's when they really go real personal.
It's funny because it's like, I'm like, do you guys call us white supremacists more than you actually call white supremacists? Because there is legitimate white supremacists out there. I mean, there's not as many as they say there is, but there are people with their KKK accounts and they're like hidden white supremacist symbols on Instagram. Are they going onto their profiles and attacking them like they're attacking me? Like, calling me a white supremacist more than like some dude who has like, what are they called? The Nazi symbol. Gosh, why swastika? Yeah. Are you guys going and attacking that dude? Because you're probably not, No. And it's this idea that if you do not, well, for one, they hate the left being exposed. They can't commute because it is a religion for them. It is where they get their identity. It's how they know they're a good person. So when someone comes in and just smashes it and says, hey, actually, you guys are on the side of systemic racism historically and currently, it's like you're attacking their God. Mm-hmm. And so everyone's usually very, very heated about that. But and then also, and so it's just, I don't know. You know what? Like I said, it just gives me more content. I always just thank them for the content. I'm just like, thank you for the content. Because they won't be racist to you if you say what they want to hear. But if you don't say what they want to hear, then they're racist towards you. And that's just as bad, That's just as bad as the grandpa who said the N-word, in the South.
Right. Yeah. And by the way, just as a side note, everybody, the grandpa who says the N-word in the South is not that bad. Like,
yeah, he usually loves his black grandkids like crazy.
yeah, he just grew up in a different time, and
yeah, exactly.
so context is really important. And I know,
yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm going to say something a little offensive, but I know there's a lot of people, especially on the left, and a lot of them are women. Sorry, who don't understand what context is. Context means where you're coming from. Context means the setting of where we're talking about. At a comedy club, you can say a race joke, and it's not actually racist. Amongst your friends, you can say a race joke, and it's not actually racist. You're saying hyperbolic things to shoot the mark because isn't that crazy that I just said that?
Yeah.
Or a myriad of other intentions. Context is intention. And the black, the white grandpa, just like Colin Quinn said, a lot of black guys don't hate white people or the man, right? But have white friends.
Oh yeah.
You can disagree with look at that, that honky up there, blah 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 blah, and obviously I'm cleaning it up.
Yeah.
you can hate that guy or say, kill that cracker when they're boxing, but have white friends. And I think everybody intrinsically knows that. I think the left is obsessed with just blocking out nature. I don't want to pay attention as much as they're evolutionists. They want to block out what our gut says. They want to block out what we are. They want to get rid of comedy. They want to get rid of joy. They want to get rid of connection.
Yeah. And the thing is that we finally have the America we deserve. Like, there is not anyone holding you down except for yourself right now. And I also said, if you don't have a good support system, and that's really hard. And I didn't have a good support system growing up. And you have to, that's part of the reason why I'm, have a good relationship with God. Like, that is how I got through. Like, I was addicted to drugs at 19. I was addicted to meth, and there's just no way. Like, sexual assault survivor. Dad was selling crack down in LA. Mom, was very sick as I was growing up and not, around like she should have been. And so, but at the same time, if you put your mind to it in this country, you can make it. That's why people come from Africa and they succeed, as opposed to Black Americans that are here and just complain and act like they have it so hard, and that someone else is going to take their spot. That's there for them. It's there. You can have that spot. Someone is working right now to be a doctor. It could be you. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one is stopping you from going to college. No one is stopping you from studying. I mean, you can go and enroll in a college right now if you wanted to. No one is stopping anyone in this country. And there's little things here and there and stuff like that, but we finally have the country we deserve, and now they're working to destroy it. And it's really sad. It's really sad.
Right. Let's start wrapping up. I did want to ask, what's your experience since you moved to Florida 6 months ago?
Night and day. We live in two different countries right now, Peter. Like, it's night and day. I can't believe how different it is here, especially with the COVID stuff. It's kind of scary to think that our country has become so, like, to where each state is so different that you feel like you have to leave your state to feel like you are in America. Like, I felt like I had to leave California to feel like I'm actually experiencing the freedoms of America, come to Florida, because it became so controlling this last year in California that it was just like, whoa. And then especially with everything with Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, like, you can't say this, you can't go here, you have to wear this, you have to, and I was just like, whoa, this is getting way too much. And like I said, I'm a rebel. Like, I've always been someone who does not like being told what to do. That's why I'm a teacher. I'm the one that does I'm the one that tells people what to do, not the other way around. And so just being here in Florida has been very freeing. I've actually been able to be a lot more creative. I actually just finished a children's book. So I'll let you know about it when it's all done, but it's going to be really fun. I'm basically writing allegorical stories on a farm about, and it's called On Shining Hills Farm, which represents America, and the left and trying to destroy it. And us continually, the farm animals working to, it's basically really cute and funny. So I feel more inspired here, and I feel more accepted here for sure. Like, people just don't care. Like, you go to California and people are just so in your business. Like, you can't walk by them without them going like, like shuffling aside because you're not wearing a mask or something. And over here, it's like people just don't care. Like, just don't. Like, they're just kind of doing their own thing. So it's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Keep me posted about that, and I'll share it. So thank you again for coming on.
This has been fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I learn every time I'm with someone like, you know, I feel like our community is so diverse, and I really love that. And we are just so much more accepting than the left right now. You know, you can't, if you veer off, if you're a pro-life leftist, oh no, you're not on the left. You know what I'm saying? But like, you can be like, there's just so much variety in you can be a conservative-ish and we'll still love you, you know?
Right. Well, and actually I really only started it because I wanted it to be blatant. Number one, I was also, again, I was in the Bay.
Yeah.
I've done a ton of music. I'm a singer. And I've done a ton of music with writing hooks for rappers around the Bay and around the country. And I've done a lot of performing, me and my guitar.
Nice.
And I wanted to come out blatantly like, yeah, I'm not a liberal. What you motherfucking do about it?
Yeah, I know.
And I also wanted to make it clear, kind of tongue in cheek, that can't I like gays and guns? Do I have to? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
totally.
over and over, it's tongue in cheek, especially because I don't know any conservatives who don't like gays.
Yeah.
I don't know any non-liberals who don't like gays. There's like a couple who are like, I don't like I mean, but being against, this is the thing. They say the left puts it under the umbrella of tolerance. I don't want to, as much as I've done motherfucking drag before. I'm a straight guy at the drag show, okay? I've done drag before, but I don't want drag queens in motherfucking schools.
Yeah, exactly. Or of course, not into that. You know what I'm saying? It's this idea that everyone needs to raise their kids the same. Like, there's people that are just not into that, and that's okay. Like, if you want to take your kid to a drag show, sure, do it. But it doesn't mean all of us have to have that, you know? And if we don't have that, then we are intolerant, you know? And it's like, no.
Right. Or government sanctioned, which, by the way, government sanctioned means I paid for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I gave my money to the government, say, please use it wisely. They said, here, let's show genitalia to 5-year-olds. And I'm like, no. I don't want my money to use for that. No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate this conversation.
Yeah, love it.
Where can people find you?
Like I said, I'm Conservative Mixed Girl on Instagram. I'm Fontanilla on Facebook. I barely post on YouTube. It's not really something I've done much on, but Conservative Mixed Girl on YouTube. And I just want to encourage, if you have kids right now, just make sure you're looking at what the teachers are teaching them. You know, ask for copies of the curriculum. Don't be afraid. The teachers are supposed to be transparent to you, and they're supposed to share with you what they're teaching your children. And you can even sit in the classroom if you want to. And in California, if you are in California right now, the sex ed curriculum is really bad. And so you can opt out of that because, but you need to ask for that because you can only opt out. You can't opt in. So when your kid hits 7th grade, because that's when they get the sex ed, which is my poor students, they're like, Ms. Fontanilla, it's so uncomfortable and awful. I mean, it's really bad. It's not like what it was when we were kids, when we were in, I mean, for one, it was in 9th grade when I was a kid. Now it's 7th grade. But I mean, it's like videos of stuff you shouldn't see. And it honestly doesn't belong in the hands of the teacher to teach that stuff. And educate yourself as a parent on what is the best way to teach your child sexuality. Don't let the teachers be the one to do that, you know? I just want to encourage, you know, any parents watching this right now or have friends with kids, just make sure you're looking at what's going on in the classroom because it's a lot worse than you can imagine. Yeah.
Last question, I swear, but is there, besides homeschooling, if they're a parent in California, are there any type of school? I know you can't endorse maybe a school, but are there any type of school that would be less leftist?
Oh my gosh, that's really hard. I would say maybe Christian schools, but sometimes they've gone really to that way. I think the best thing right now is to advocate for school choice. So if like Florida has school choice right now, which means that you can get a voucher with the money that would be going, because my mom couldn't afford, she put me in private school, kindergarten through 8th grade, and she had to get help from the church. She also had to work as a janitor. It was a big sacrifice for her. And I realized that not all parents can do that, pull them out of public school. So the best thing to do is vote for a governor. Right now, California, Larry Elder is running. Awesome.
I saw that last night.
Larry Elder is big into school choice. So if you get a governor that's pro-school choice, it will happen. And that means that you can take that money that you would use towards to get the leftist brainwashing, because it's in every public school right now. I mean, I would say I can't imagine a public school that doesn't have it. It's just everywhere in California, especially. You can take that money and put your kid in a private school. But the other thing is that if you have the means to leave the state, or you have a way to leave the state, I also recommend that too, because they are going after the private schools. They are doing a lot of vaccine mandates out in California. Even before COVID, there was vaccine mandates. And I wouldn't consider myself like crazy anti-vax or anything, but you should be able to have the choice of what you're going to inject into your child. And even in private school, you're not allowed to have your child not be vaccinated anymore in California. Not even a religious exemption. And it's only medical exemption. And even then, they've reversed pretty much all of them in California. That's a whole nother show. But they reversed all the medical exemptions in California with kids that don't want, I think because of COVID. So anyways, if you can leave the state, and I know it's hard. I broke my tenure. I had a great reputation in the district. I was making almost six figures because they taught us, they paid us really well, and it was a hard decision to make. Florida does not pay as much, definitely, but to the price of freedom and raising your children in an area where they're not going to get as much indoctrination, because there are kids that are turning against their parents right now. That's what happened on January 6th. Kids are calling saying, my mom was there protesting and turning their kids in. And how do they get turned away from their parents? Through the schools. So you may think your child is strong and would never go that way. Oh no, children are rebellious. They like to go the opposite of their parents, and especially if they have a teacher that's, putting ideas into their head. So anyways, that's my advice to all of you guys, and God bless you guys too.
So awesome. Thank you very much. Collie. Did I pronounce it right?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, good. Make sure you subscribe to ConservaTish wherever you're listening. Make sure you like this, share this, put a little comment in, review it. And remember, I'm a half Puerto Rican, so if you don't like my stuff, you're a racist. And find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano, and find me on TikTok at Peter_Feliciano. Find me on Patreon at patreon.com/ConservaTish. Thank you very much, Conservative Mixed Girl. Appreciate you very much. I'm going to end the broadcast now.
Okay, sounds good.